To order the first item, please.
Just looking for a motion with respect to the provincial health order that enables us to hold this meeting electronically without members of the public present.
Thanks. Moved by Director Facio, second by Director Ross. All in favor? Opposed if any? Item carries. Next item.
Looking for approval of the agenda and late items.
Thank you.
Moved.
Moved by Director Pranger, seconded by Director Raymond. All in favor? Opposed if any? The item carries. Next item.
Next is 3.1. We have a delegation of Marilyn Bergstra from BC Policy Analyst, Action on Smoking and Health. I'm not sure if
Thank you. Welcome, Ms. Bergstra. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Hey, thank you for having me. I am just going to start sharing my screen. Just bear with me a second here, and then I will get started. Okay, can you see? Not sure why it didn't start at the beginning, but can everyone see the slide?
Yes.
Okay, and now I just have to move you guys out of the way here. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to present on this very important subject matter. As you know, my name is Marilyn Bergstra, and I am the BC Policy Specialist with Action on Smoking and Health. Today, I will briefly highlight gold standard smoke-free bylaw provisions that we hope municipalities across the Fraser Valley Regional District will consider, and I will then welcome any questions you may have. Action on Smoking and Health, also known as ASH, is one of Canada's leading tobacco control organizations with staff in the 4 Western capitals, including Victoria, where I am based. Since 1979, ASH has provided local, provincial, national, and global leadership on tobacco control with a primary focus on increased public awareness and education, prevention, and the advancement of public policy measures. As part of a Health Canada grant, we are working to prevent the renormalization of smoking, which is why I'm here today. Our partners include the Canadian Cancer Society, Heart and Stroke Foundation, the Lung Association, the BC Clean Air Coalition, and other Western tobacco control coalitions. We also work with BC's 5 regional health authorities and the First Nations Health Authority. I would like to highlight some quick tobacco facts. Tobacco use places an enormous burden on our health and our quality of life. Tobacco and nicotine use results in countless diseases and kills 47,000 Canadian annually, which represents about 20% of all deaths in Canada. 1 in every 2 long-term smokers will die from an illness resulting from tobacco use. In 2012, the Conference Board of Canada estimated that the total economic impact of cigarette smoking was $15 billion annually. This includes $6.5 billion in healthcare costs. Secondhand smoke is also harmful and kills approximately 1,000 Canadians annually. Health Canada and other leading health organizations, including the World Health Organization, have declared that there is no safe level of exposure to secondhand smoke. There are thousands of chemical compounds present in secondhand smoke, including dozens of carcinogens. In recent years, there has been an explosive rise in vaping, particularly among youth. Research from 2018 indicated that over 400,000 Canadian youth had vaped in the last 30 days. A great majority of these tweens and teens will develop a lifelong addiction to nicotine. According to the US Center for Disease Control, in less than a 3-month span, there were 2,807 hospitalizations and 68 deaths from e-cigarette and vaping product use associated lung injury in the United States in 2020. Children and youth who vape are at a threefold risk of tobacco smoking. Recent studies indicate that for every one adult who stops smoking through vaping, a whopping 80 youth vapors begin to smoke. Almost all youth who vape started vaping flavored products. Evidence reveals that there is no safe level of exposure to secondhand smoke, including hookah smoke. Both the first-hand and second-hand smoke produced by shisha contains carcinogens and other toxins at levels equal to or greater than that of tobacco products. Many hookah lounge staff are in vulnerable positions with precarious employment, and they simply cannot demand a smoke-free workplace. Hookah lounge owners have tried to suggest that hookah establishments are a cultural right. Not only has the BC Supreme Court dismissed hookah smoking as a cultural activity protected by the Canadian Charter of Rights, but also countless Middle Eastern countries have banned hookah lounges. Smoking in any form leads to social acceptance and its renormalization, and we cannot afford to lose gains made to reduce smoking. Modeling is an essential element of childhood development and definitely influences behavior. To a 5-year-old, smoking is smoking, whether it involves vaping, smoking, or toking of various substances. The more smoking impressions that a child accumulates as they are growing up, the more likely they are to become smokers. Comprehensive restrictions on all forms of smoking and vaping are needed to help keep youth tobacco and nicotine free for life. Given the explosive rise in youth vaping, coupled with the legalization of cannabis and popularity of hookah, efforts to minimize modeling is even more important. Vaping, hookah, and cannabis use have the potential to renormalize public smoking and therefore reverse gains in reducing tobacco use, especially among our youth. Over the years, smoking bylaws across the Fraser Valley Regional District have evolved to better protect community members, and we applaud municipalities for these measures. To ensure that citizens are fully protected, ASH would like to encourage all municipalities within the FVRD to ensure that their smoke-free bylaws reflect best practices. Such leadership across the FVRD will positively affect health and support healthy behavior. Moreover, collective action by all municipalities within the FVRD will act as a powerful exemplar to other regions. This is profoundly important in terms of driving social change and improving outcomes for all BC residents and visitors. Comprehensive bylaws should ensure that smoking, vaping, hookah, and cannabis restrictions are aligned. Not only is this important to health, but it is essential to reducing stigmatization of one or more smoking populations over another. Comprehensive bylaws reduce social modeling on children, support healthy behavior, protects vulnerable populations such as youth and low-income workers, while additionally simplifying enforcement. Comprehensive bylaws should include provisions to prohibit smoking at all public events held in public squares or venues and in all public spaces, including areas such as skate and spray parks, playgrounds, public outdoor markets, and their parking lots. Children and youth frequent public events and spaces and should be fully protected from smoking and vaping in these areas. Smoking bans should be extended to group living facilities. Residents of group living facilities should not be forced to breathe secondhand smoke in their own home. These residents are often elderly or have health conditions that are aggravated by exposure to secondhand smoke. Smoking should also be prohibited in hotel and motel rooms. Several municipalities have taken such steps. People who work in hotels and motels deserve to be fully protected from secondhand smoke. Additionally, bans would level the playing field for hotels and motels that have taken the necessary steps to protect workers and patrons. Councils should apply licensing fees to tobacco, vaping, hookah, and cannabis retailers. Many municipalities also already charge cannabis and liquor retailers licensing fees. Signage is an important component of enforcement. No smoking areas should be clearly visible and strategically placed. Licensing fees can be redirected to support education, including youth education initiatives, retailer training and communication, engagement, and enforcement costs. One important example is retailer training and enforcement to prevent illegal retail sales to minors. Before I conclude, I would like to draw your attention to the ASH Policy Hub. Here, you can access policy and resources to support your policy development. It also offers dashboard data to actively track and policy development and compare progress between like stakeholder groups. Please feel free to visit ash.ca to check out this hub. And finally, I would like to conclude with this summary checklist of gold standard policy provisions to guide future additions or amendments to your existing bylaw. I sincerely hope that today's presentation will inspire collaborative discussion and ultimately the implementation of gold standard bylaws with the above provisions, or the provisions on your screen, among all municipalities within the Fraser Valley Regional District. On behalf of ASH, I want to extend my sincere thanks for your time and for the opportunity to highlight how you can help support health and healthy behavior across the region. Please don't hesitate to reach out should you need any additional support. We're here to provide that. I would now like to welcome any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Bergstra, and appreciate your presentation today. I'm going to ask board members if they have any questions, but I will remind them that we do have a pretty busy schedule this morning as well. We've got another delegation presentation as well, but we have Ms. Bergstra's contact info. Are there questions quickly right now through to Ms. Bergstra while she's here? I don't see any, but thank you very much, Ms. Bergstra, for your information, and we will certainly make sure that our member municipalities get this information as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And again, feel free to ask any questions by email. Have a great day, everyone. Stay safe.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Ms. Kinnaman, next item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So next we have a presentation. It's item 3.2 regarding the Cedar Network and Connections newsletter. It's a presentation by our staff member, Jess Morrison.
Thank you. Ms. Morrison, welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me this morning. I'm just going to share my screen. There we go. I'm here this morning to talk to you about cedarnetwork.ca. Hopefully most of you are familiar with this tool, but I just wanted to do a quick refresher. I think it's been a few years now. It's kind of gotten away from me that I've presented on this tool at the committee or to board. So I just wanted to do a quick reminder that this resource is there for all of our elected officials, member municipalities, and staff of those member municipalities. So cedarnetwork.ca is a web-based tool that belongs to the FERD. We've built this as sort of a bespoke tool for Indigenous engagement, supporting Indigenous engagement. And the reason we have this tool, and it's so important for the FERD to have a tool like this, is because when we look at our region in this way, this is typically how we think of things and administrative boundaries and whatnot. But the reality of what I do at the FERD looks a little bit more like this in terms of supporting staff members and supporting elected officials with Indigenous engagement. This is what the landscape looks like. And given how complex this is on any kind of a question, we need to have a robust resource that supports effective engagement on any kind of a project or any kind of initiative. Now, I'm being a little bit silly when I show this diagram because, of course, this isn't necessarily how we need to look at things, but the FERD is an incredibly complex region when it comes to Indigenous communities and Indigenous leadership and governance structures. We can think of it in a little bit more simple way in terms of culture areas. We are sort of at the crossroads of three main culture areas, the Stalo, Inchuk, and Nukutma culture areas. But I think it's difficult for staff and for yourselves to sit there and start thinking about different kinds of engagement and who, how, when, where, and why, which is why we have this tool. As you can see, the organizational structures of Indigenous communities and organizations are complex, and they're layered and nuanced in a way that's different from regional districts. It's different from local government. There are some similarities and some parallels we can draw, but we're asking ourselves all kinds of different questions depending on the unique circumstance in which we're looking to engage. As you can see, it might be tough for a staff member or yourselves thinking about a specific scenario where you want to engage and who and how you might do that with. The First Nations resource guide that the FERD used to have was a paper document that got published once a year, and most other regional districts still do something like this. But being the most complex region in the province, this is something that just isn't really a functional model for us in terms of keeping up to date with contact information, understanding those nuanced complexities of organizational structures, and who to engage with and how. Which is why we developed the cedarnetwork.ca. We started developing this tool in 2015, and I believe we launched it in 2016. And it's grown a bit in a couple of different phases, and it still has some room to grow and room to develop. And it's been developed that way in sort of a piecemeal way that tools have been added as we've gone along, and functionality has improved and changed as we've had feedback from users and whatnot. So I just wanted to go through some of the main features of what Cedar Network is and how it works. It's a web-based tool, so it's no longer a paper document that you need to have in front of you and have access to. You can access it on your phone, on a work computer, or from your home office. It features mainly interactive maps. It's got audio pronunciation guides if you need to make a phone call, trying to make sure you have that pronunciation right and you have it down before you pick up the phone. And it's got key contact information for all of the different organizations in the region. And what's important about this tool that's different from the paper documents that we used to produce once a year is that you get to see the organizational complexities and those relationships between organizations and learn to understand them better as you navigate through the site. And the other thing is it's updated on a daily basis. So if any information in terms of, say there's been an election in a community and there's a new chief and council, that information is updated as soon as it's publicly available and published to the site. So you know you're getting the best possible information within the site. Here's a view of the interactive maps page. You can kind of get a sense of what it might be like. We have a Google Maps interface within the site. So it's a familiar tool. Everybody knows how to navigate within Google Maps. And we wanted to make sure that that tool was something familiar. So there doesn't need to be a lot of instruction when you're coming into the site. You can just kind of come in and intuitively understand how you might need to navigate through the site. What's important about the interactive map is that if you click on something, you can click on this view details section here. Can everyone see my cursor? Moving around there, yeah. Okay, so you can click on view details and dive into some of the data from the map, and it'll take you to another page where you can learn more information as you navigate through the map. If you click onto an organization, you'll see a summary page of information. You can see whether that organization is involved in a treaty process, whether they have reserves physically within the FERD, whether they've established land code, which is important for creating partnerships between local governments and First Nations. And it's just some basic information about, on this side here, a link to their website, and then the organizations with which they're affiliated. So you can, again, start to understand those relationships. If you click onto the contacts tab at the top here of any of those summary pages, you get to see the current governance and the roles and positions within governance there and the terms of those elected officials. You can see staff contacts if there are any for the organization. Some of these organizations don't necessarily have an office with staff, but most do. And so it's important, again, to understand the difference when you're picking up the phone if you're calling a staff member or an elected official, which is often a matter of confusion about who to talk to when you're calling an organization. And office address, physical, and mailing address if it's separate, so that you can understand how to be in touch with any given organization. Here's an example of why the interactive maps are so useful. In our paper resource guide, we used to just publish a map for each First Nation organization that showed where the reserve was. But it's important to understand not just where reserves are or these orange dots here, which is the office location, but what the traditional territory of that particular organization is. Because as you might understand a little bit more broadly, doing something like, say, an air quality management plan or looking at a new recreation plan for a particular area, if you're just looking at where the reserve map is, you might not understand the broader interests of that organization, and you might miss a key piece of engagement if you aren't looking at these other ways of understanding the interests of those organizations. So Cedar Network has a bunch of different features. You can look at a glossary of terms, you can read some interesting articles and peruse some FAQs. But I just wanted to show a couple of key features. For those who don't know, on the second floor of the FBRD office in Chilliwack, we have an Indigenous Reads library. There's quite a few titles in that library, and you can virtually peruse the collection in that library. You can search for a particular term. Let's say you want to do some research about residential schools. You would just come into this library page, type in residential schools, and it would show you all of the books which cover that topic. There's other resources in here besides books like DVDs and other things, but you can have a look at the library and see if there's any titles that interest you there. And one of the other key features here is just professional development resources. So there's all sorts of courses that are available that you can do either self-directed online or sign up for something that's scheduled either through FBRD Learns program or through other organizations. And we've tried to pull those together here in those resources so that our member municipalities can and our staff within the FBRD can look through these resources and be reminded that professional development on Indigenous relations is the responsibility of everyone to sort of take upon themselves and find those opportunities. And we've tried to pull them together for you there. And I just want to talk a little bit today about the next development phase for Cedar Network. There isn't a definite date on when we're going to start on these next set of updates, but they've kind of been on the back burner a bit because of COVID and the fact that it's not an easy thing to engage with Indigenous communities right now. But we're looking at adding enhanced search features. So in the map, allowing users to come in and sort of draw an area of interest or a project area and have that interaction with the map develop a contact list of sorts, or like a tool for beginning a piece of engagement. We want to develop some user analytics. We have quite a number of users. I think we're over 200 now users in Cedar Network. We want to be able to better understand how users are using the site, so creating some analytics in the background. We want to do some interface upgrades and simplify some of the features so that when you log in, it's easier to find what you're looking for. And we want to develop some scalability enhancements. So that's along the lines of, if we thought about in future licensing access to Cedar Network for other organizations, what would that look like, and how would we need to just sort of make adjustments in the background so that the site could be used in that kind of a way for other regions or other entities. And I also just wanted to have a quick word about FBRD Connections. It's our weekly e-newsletter. For those who aren't subscribed, you can actually navigate to cedarnetwork.ca and just click on this button right down here, subscribe to FBRD Connections. It comes to your email inbox on Monday mornings, and it has a collection of just some critical national headlines, local news that you might want to be aware of, events, and topics on arts and culture. So I curate this every week and just sort of push out news that might be of interest to local governments and just things to keep in mind, whether you dive into the articles or whether you just sort of scan through the synopses in the email, you kind of keep informed about what's going on locally and nationally and how it might affect us as a regional district. So if you haven't subscribed to Connections, that's the way to do it. And if you haven't joined Cedar Network, just navigate over to cedarnetwork.ca and click the green button. It says request to join, and you'll be in. And that's all I have.
Great. Thank you, Jessica. And are there any questions through to Ms. Morrison? Director Blue.
Thank you. I just wanted to say thanks for the presentation. I wasn't aware of this resource and it's really fabulous. I will sign up and I look forward to spending some more time learning about it. Thank you for sharing the information today.
Thank you. Any other questions from directors? Don't see any. I'll just say Ms. Kinnaman and I. Director Ross, did you have your hand up? Nope. Okay, sorry. I will say that Ms. Kinnaman and Ms. Morrison and I were participated in the CAO CEO forum for all regional districts across province, and just had an opportunity to present the Cedar Network to the chairs and CAOs or senior staff, as well as provincial staff, as part of a panelist. And I got so many comments back, very positive comments from across the province, just highlighting how far advanced the regional district was in terms of having a tool like this. And so it was, yeah, it was excellent. And I think it just reflects so well on the staff and how you yourself, Ms. Morrison, have kind of been able to pair technology with some of the information to help make things a little bit easier for us to navigate a pretty complex set of relationships. So well done. And it's definitely noticed across the province. Definitely made me pretty proud to get all those messages. So well done. Ms. Kinnaman, next item.
Next item is 4.1. We have the draft Regional and Corporate Services Committee meeting minutes of April 8th, 2021.
Thank you. It's moved by Director Dickey, seconded by Director Facio. Any discussion, questions on the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor, opposed if any, item carries. Next item.
5.1, we have the draft FERD privacy and accountability policy. There is a motion for your consideration.
Thank you. It's moved by Director Popov, seconded by Director Robb. Discussion. Director Dickey, did you have a question? Nope. Okay, call the question. All in favor, opposed if any, item carries. Next item.
We have 6.1.1, which is the draft 2021 Air Quality Management Plan.
Thank you. There's a motion there. It's moved by Director Ross, seconded by Director Hamilton. Any discussion? Director Ross?
Yeah, I just wanted to tell staff how blown away I was by this report. It is so incredibly well done. It's a really good blend of science, but put in the kind of language that, you know, is really easy to understand. And the pictures that you've chosen are perfect because, you know, as they say, a picture tells 1,000 words. So it really backs up the science and what you're saying. So just well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Ross. And don't see any other questions, but yeah, I echo the comments. I think another really fantastic piece of work from staff, and look forward to circulating that out to our member municipalities and getting any feedback and preparation for final adoption. So don't see any other questions, call the question. All in favor, opposed if any, item carries. Next item.
6.2.1, we have Island 22 Regional Park Boat Launch Staging Area Improvement Projects. It's an information item. Staff are happy to answer any questions, but we thought you would like to see the evidence of the work that's been underway.
Yes, that's another fantastic project. Sensing a bit of a pattern here, but yeah, it's staff hard at work, and I know certainly the city of Chilliwack is very appreciative of some of those improvements in that park. And I know a lot of the people who utilize that boat launch are as well. So any other comments or questions on this information item? Don't see any. Next item.
6.2.2, we have the draft memorial program policy for regional parks. There is a motion for consideration.
Yeah, it's moved by Director Facio, second by Director Blue. Questions, discussion? Okay, let's see. We'll start with, I saw Director Facio as the mover. Go ahead, Director Facio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just wanted to say what a great idea this program is. We've had it in the village of Harrison Hot Springs for many years with the memorial benches. We're just replacing the older wooden ones now with more up-to-date ones, which are easier for maintenance. But I think it's a great program to give families or individuals an opportunity to when they're out for walks, whatever, to think or sit down on the bench that one of their family or friends has passed away. A great program, and thank you very much.
Hey, Director Facio. I saw Director Hamilton, I think. Yep, Director Hamilton, go ahead. You're muted.
Yeah, just an FYI, one of the challenges we've had in Mission with our benches in Heritage Park, about a year ago, someone from the public came forward and said they didn't want the memorial to have the dates on the benches, that they were offended by that. So we still haven't hammered out whether we're going to allow that or not. We have up until now. And so just an FYI that's caused some controversy in Mission with our memorial benches.
I think when I had a brief discussion with Ms. Kinnaman on this, we have the benefit of our staff being able to talk to a lot of the other member municipalities who have started to tackle some of these memorial projects. And so we're able to kind of combine the best of all of the different policies and programs and kind of incorporate them. So I'm sorry to hear that you've had some controversy out there, but we're going to learn from the controversy that you're experiencing there, Director Hamilton. But thank you for pointing that out. Director Blue, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I spoke with Ms. Morrison-Clark, our GM at Parks, today about this because I know that they've been discussing some things there. And she had noted, first of all, just wanted to say thanks for the grant money to do the Matsqui Glen Valley asset piece, because that's something we don't have asset management yet. And she's interested in really coordinating and making sure that as Abbotsford adopts the plan here, that we're really aligning and that things they make sense, because people don't necessarily know if they're in a city park or a regional place. And she also mentioned at Mill Lake, because it's such a busy park, we're kind of done with benches. There's not really a place you could actually put another bench probably. So finding ways to really memorialize in a way that is respectful and it's still really noticeable and can be enjoyed. They're a bit worried about it looking like a mini cemetery. You know, it's partly because of the area and the popularity, but absolutely appreciate this and the asset management piece that goes with it, and really understand, as you said, from the member municipalities where they're having issues and how we can improve this. It's a great piece of work. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Blue. Were there any other comments? Director, don't see any, so I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed if any? The item carries. Next item.
Moving down to 6.3.1, it's an update on FBRD transit for the 2021-2022 provincial budget. Some good news. It's an information item, but certainly staff can speak to it if anyone would like.
Thank you, Ms. Kinnaman. And any questions on this information item? Looks like there's still going to be some money in there for the projects that we're hoping to complete. So that's positive. I don't see any questions. So next item.
Moving down to reports by directors.
Thank you, directors. It'd be your opportunity. I don't see any. Quiet bunch this morning. Next item.
So now we would have public question period for items relevant to the agenda, and I'll just turn over to Ms. Van Ness to see if we have anyone on the line.
And
Thank
Ms.
you.
Van Ness.
So I can confirm we haven't received any email questions, and we did have a member of the public joining us earlier today, but as of right now, we have nobody joining us on Zoom.
Okay, thank you. Next item.
Looking for a resolution to close the meeting.
Yeah, it's moved by Director Facio, seconded by Director Stobart. All in favor? Opposed, if any, the item carries.
Okay, it'll just give us maybe